Hi ho, it's back to authoritarianism we go when it comes to social media, videos, entertainment, movies, video games, and sanity is going to take a backseat to what the politicians want to take control of once more. Today we'll share with you a video from Gavin Newsom's wife, who claims it's time to legislate away every attempt by the right to persuade men to be better than they are today. It's a great day. It's a fantastic day. Folks, welcome back yet again to the Pro Channel, where we uncover what's going down in Hollyweird. The allies of the celebrities are striking out again and saying if they get back in power, the hour is at hand to control everything you'll see once again. As we dive in, click the like button. Here's the video you have to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Gavin Newsom's wife, of course, she is the First Lady of California. She's got a statement to make, and she is declaring that we need to use the powers of government to stop boys from becoming right-wing. Now, she may have some things that she says here that make some sense to some degree, but it's the going too far here that's a big deal, and I'll explain why. I think they could, in the future, be going up against movies like Mario and Project Hail Mary, and why? Well, because we've watched them propagandize entertainment now for 15 years, and we're just now seemingly getting out of it. They want to drag us back in. Here's what she had to say.
All know, I think, or increasingly are realizing that boys are moving away from sort of the more progressive boys that spend time online are moving a little bit
I think what she's going to say is the right. I think they're moving to the right. Don't let them do that.
I'm trying not to be political here, but are moving to the right.
They're moving to the right. Do whatever you can. We got to stop this. We got to nip it in the bud.
And being sort of influenced by the Andrew Tates and some of that sort of alt-right socialization online that we know is very, very dangerous. My husband and I were alarmed when our kids were watching sports online and my son knew about Andrew Tate.
Now, let's pause here and say, set the Tate thing to the side for a minute, okay? Let's set the toxic manosphere to the side for just a minute. You know, what's it going to be when it's suddenly she comes out and says, they've discovered Jordan Peterson videos? We can't allow this. We can't allow them to find Jordan Peterson videos. I'm not saying that Jordan Peterson is parallel with Andrew Tate. Of course not. What I'm saying is, the slippery slope is back again, right? They've got to go and make sure that they control what it is kids will find. Now, you may find the Tates detestable, right? You may find some people on the left detestable. The question is, does the government have a role in stepping in and trying to control what you and your kids find? Before we play the rest of what she has to say, I got to bring Grace back because you got to know this. When I know, Marvin, I apologize. When we say that they're going to try to control what you watch and see, it's easy to say, oh, come on, Pro. Oh, come on. Do we have to do panic stuff again? Hang tight. Because, yes, Gavin Newsom's wife is talking about trying to stop kids from finding Andrew Tate. Guess what? Grace Randolph sees Andrew Tate in the Mario movie. No, really. The toxic manosphere. Here's what she had to say about Bowser.
I continue to feel that Bowser and now Bowser Jr. are a little bit too actually evil. Like, it goes beyond cartoon villainy. I think maybe because they kind of mimic, like, the toxic manosphere that is, like, I don't know if it's becoming more and more popular, if it's maybe finally reached its breaking point, but, you know, I see a lot of similar talking points there. And the movie at first seemed like it was going to...
Let me get a wicked virtue first on this. We'll play more of what Gavin Newsom's wife had to say, but the problem I have with all of these efforts, you know, I think parents need to be helping their kids find voices of reason and virtue, but I don't know that the government needs to step into that, because the government, when it does so, people take advantage of it. And suddenly we're going to be saying, hey, we need to talk to those people making the Mario movie. Bowser is Tate coded. Bowser is part of the toxic manosphere. And this is where it went back in 2018, 19, 2020, 2021. And we're just now coming out of this craziness. What do you think, Virtue, about this idea of the government wanting to get back into influencing what's on the screen, whether it's the small screen, the big screen, or the silver screen?
I think it's a bad idea because, like, I mean, what she's saying is she doesn't want kids to go right, which in my personal opinion, that's good. That means these boys are gonna grow up to be men, to just put it bluntly. Like, oh no, scary. Not Andrew Tate. Like, I'm not, but I do understand why some people kind of look up to him, because we're just so oversaturated with men being feminized these days. So I do get it. But I think either way, the government shouldn't be getting involved. Just let kids think for themselves. Like, maybe, let the parents decide what their kids should or shouldn't watch, not the government. That's how I feel.
That's right. And the other thing too is they start off by saying, Andrew Tate, right? Because that can be the boogeyman that they'll use. And maybe he is a boogeyman. I'm not going to weigh in on that one way or the other. But the problem is it seldom stops there. Then it begins to move into, okay, well, this person also, we don't want anybody's kids to ever hear them. And that tends to be, what can we do to make it politically advantageous for us that the other side never gets to speak online again, or in movies or in TV shows? Here's more from Gavin Newsom's wife talking about protecting the children's from that darn rascally right.
And thought he was pretty cool, and thought that his Republican grandfather, who's not a Trumper, but a fiscal conservative, thought that my father would like Andrew Tate. So that's scary. We're like one of the most progressive households, and our son is confused and asking all these questions. We're working on legislation to hold tech companies accountable.
Hang on, guys. Here's the important part. Listen to where she goes from there. Ready?
And our son is confused and asking all these questions. We're working on legislation to hold tech companies accountable and help them be a force for good in our kids and families' lives.
What do we think that means?
Well, you know what that means. That means
tell us what it means.
Their side, not a force for good. Like, it's going to be one-sided.
Yeah,
but she's not a podunk. She's not a podunk mother who has no control over anything. Sitting somewhere playing Scrabble or Peggle or whatever it is. This woman is the wife of the governor of California. When she says they're doing legislation, she means it.
Yeah, right. I'm sure she's got no problem with trans Autobots on Netflix. Exactly. But like all of a sudden, like I would rather my kid discover, not that I would want my kid to watch Andrew Tate, but I would rather that than watch anything of the kids programming on Netflix, which is just all about gender nonsense. Like, absolutely not. So this is just plain and simple. She wants the government to get involved in ensuring that only progressive messaging is pushed to kids. That's indoctrination at a young age, and it is the quiet part out loud.
And it's she's in California where the tech companies are largely.
Look at this though. Look at this language that she's using. My child is confused. That has been something that we've been not allowed to say when it comes to a very prominent other issue that has pretty much ruined culture for the last 5 years. But he might end up confused and right-leaning. All of a sudden, we need legislation to stop this right now. Like, this is kind of rich coming from the first lady of the state of California here to say that, oh, well, we need legislation to stop people from becoming right-wing, even if that particular right-wing influencer is somebody I disagree with very strongly on moral standpoints. This is something where there are conversion therapy laws on the books in California that when a child is actually confused, the psychologist can only say, yes, and let's explore that more. But when we talk about politically confused, oh, we have to stop this right now. Wasn't it Gavin Newsom with Charlie Kirk when Gavin Newsom admitted that his kids listen to right-leaning influencers?
Right. And this is the backlash to that from her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they're questioning it, which is good. Like the way I was raised, even teachers and stuff, they told you to question everything. And now it's like, no, don't ask questions. Just listen to the adults and what they're telling you.
Well, used to decades ago, if you did something, you said something that somebody didn't like, the response would be, it's a free country, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and that went away, right? This is, I think, a return to the idea of deplatforming and controlling what's allowed online. And so it really strikes me that the playbook is still there. They're just waiting to bring that back to power.
It's also a slippery step away from locking you up for mean tweets.
Yeah,
the way they
happening in the UK.
Yeah, but here's the thing: she's the first lady of California, and that's horrifying enough. But her husband is one of the main Democratic hopefuls for president of the United States. So she, in theory, could be the first lady of the United States.
Right. Well, they're talking about doing legislation right now. So that's why would they do that? Well, that would be the game plan going forward. That's the thing they'll show in a future election to say, this is what we're going to do. We've already done it successfully in California, yada, yada, yada. And Jay, what I'm worried about is, I look at stuff like you've put out this this new book, Daughter's Revenge, over at Rippasend. We hope everybody will go check it out. I don't want a future again where somebody says, "Oh, I heard that Rippasend, they're not liberal enough. They're too darn centrist. They're too down the middle. They don't like politics. So we're gonna deplatform them. We're gonna do whatever it takes to stop them. They get no chance to ever be anything more than where they are, and people have to strive with difficulty to find them." Like, that's where we were just a few years ago. Jay, am I making too much of this, or do you think that's what is planned to be on the way if they get back in power?
Excuse me. I have a lot to say, but I'll try to keep it within the. What do you give everybody?
Jay, you say what's safe for you, and you have at it, man.
Number one, when your child comes to you with something that you might disagree with, that is a wonderful teachable moment as a parent to talk to the child and teach them that the world is filled with different opinions in different places and different things and different ideas. And it's a great teachable moment for a parent, in my opinion. So obviously, if she thinks she has to make legislation for
the other kids, Jay, for the lesser parents than she.
Bad parenting, number one. Number two, Andrew Tate knows how to manipulate the algorithm on social media. That's why he's become so popular. He's become a master at that. So he will say all kinds of things to hit an algorithm of people that are scrolling from cooking to karate to judo to money to toxic masculinity. He understands like what he has to put out there so that it will hit multiple different algorithms so people will find it. So the fact that they're using him as a scapegoat to make legislation is kind of comical if they really understood social media algorithm. The third thing is this all comes down to votes. If they could keep men feminine and scared and not understanding who they are, not understanding that they're supposed to be a man, and keeping what they see to help keep basically keeping them under control as to what they're feeding into their brains by making them weak and powerless, then that's an easier group of people to control. So if they can get the men from being men, that's more votes for them, because when we watch these scared little feminine
the beta males of Europe, right, that
don't know what to do, and they're just scared, and they'll believe anything that a politician says and vote the way that they want them to vote because they're scared. That's what they want. It all comes down to control. They see the numbers that are going, and that the next generation is looking forward to going outside and hunting and being men and lifting weights and eating meat and all that stuff, and they don't like it.
Quit describing Chris Pratt. He scares me. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, how dare they love their country?
This scares me, Marv. The problem is, I know nobody likes to hear the cliche slippery slope, but how long until then we have people like Grace Randolph saying, we've got to stop these darn Bowser characters. They're too much. They're too male coded.
Well, look, they can say all they want about, what their intentions were with the kind of kids content that's been coming out for the last several years. But at the end of the day, it was, pushing an agenda onto kids that did not need to be there. So,
but why are they pushing the agenda on the kids?
Because they want to get them early. Because exactly what you said, they want to feminize.
Get them early for what?
Get them what?
Why are they getting them early for what?
Because they want them to vote a certain way. They want them to
it all comes down. You're right. It all comes down to politics.
It all comes down to politics. It all comes down to these are the future voters of America, and this is how we secure the branches of government for the next 20, 30, 40 years. We have to start cultivating them now.
Because listen, Marv is correct. Because in our education system, sorry, not to get over political, in our education system, we don't teach kids properly how to use money. We teach them that they can go in debt, $200,000 to get a college degree. That means absolutely nothing. So they're already hooked into the government right then and there. They can't pay rent. They don't know how to get a house. So now they're stuck with a job. We have a medical system that gets people hooked on medicines that instead of curing the disease that they have. So now they're hooked in that. They keep hooking these people over and over. They have no other way but to vote for these politicians that'll say, if you don't vote for me, you're going to lose everything. So you better vote for me, or else you're going to really be in trouble. So it's a terrible circle. And when people start to break away from that circle and get out of that circle, for whatever reasons, whether they find God or it's like, Jesus in their life or whatever it is, then they hate that. So they want to make legislation so they don't find that in their life. They don't understand the truth on how things work. It's all part of the playbook to keep people in power. Terrible.
Right. Because you need people in power if you feel disempowered. And if you accept that you're disempowered with no chance of ever changing that, then you gotta have a strong woman like Gavin Newsom's wife decide what it is that's going to be online. Folks, here's the rest of the clip, and then we'll commentate on that.
To really provide all the best in class resources and support for youth so that they don't go down this rabbit hole of very, very dangerous and limiting narratives around ultimately what it means to be a girl and what it means to be a boy.
There you go, Jonas. There it is.
Owe it to them and ourselves to kind of heal this this gift of modern technology, but curb it to be a force for good. I mean, look, the Gov and I, we have 3 more years. We're trying to institutionalize our values.
There you go.
Holy moly, we're trying to institutionalize our values, our social values.
I'll just say, if they were Christians and they said that statement, the entire left-wing media apparatus would be against them right now. But because it's very much this idea that the government is their God, it's fine to them. They don't call it a religion, but they want to institutionalize their values as opposed to letting people actually be free to worship in the way that they want to worship.
And the way that they have weaponized the media and just liberalism in general against Christians specifically. Like I wear this crucifix in every video that I do, and the comments that I get coming at me about my faith are disgusting. Jay wrote a great book, Daughter's Revenge, about a Christian man whose faith is very dear to him. How long until they start saying that's toxic and that needs to be taken away? It's a slippery slope, and it all.
I don't care. Those people are going to burn in hell, so whatever.
Unless
Christian values are dangerous to them.
No, you're right, Marvin.
Yeah.
Christian, conservative, free thinking based. Actually, common sense seems to be the most crazy thing for these people. So,
right. Well, they're seeking power, and some people say, "Well, you guys go political and all this kind of stuff." I don't see any way to avoid it when they're talking about social media. They're talking about what you watch on YouTube, what you watch on X. It'll be the silver screen. It'll be the small screen in your home. This is the playbook. This is where they plan to go right back to it again. And Wicked Virtue, I'll give you the last word on this. They haven't changed. They're just waiting for a change in electoral power to come back in and make sure they switch everything and get those levers moving in their direction and take your ability to watch what you want to watch away.
Yeah. They don't want anything that doesn't push their message, which is scary because, when, of course, there's people on the right side that probably feel the same way about left. But I mean, to be honest, if we're comparing that, the left stuff is actually like really damaging, like confusing children and everything. But we're still not, I wouldn't say we're pushing super hard to get everything away, just certain things that don't need to be seen, like, sexuality stuff. Like kids just don't need to see any of that. But they're mad, like, and it's funny, Jay had a point with, Andrew Tate. Like he really is just kind of like a clown. So the fact that they have to pull him out and use him as an example, it just shows that they don't have anything really to stand on, and they aren't really paying attention to what's going on. So they just want to control it. They don't want, they don't want anything that opposes their narrative to be out there. And you see it with kids. Like I can't remember exactly which protest this was. Maybe it was immigration or something, but there was a little girl that was out there with her mom, and the reporter asked her, like, why are you here? She's like, oh, because I want to do good. Like she didn't really have anything to say, and it's not the child's fault, it's the mom's fault, who was like, I'm so proud of her being here that she feels this way. She was like 7. She doesn't have any real opinion. She just is going to echo her parents' opinion, and that's what they want. They don't want kids to have their own real opinions. They want them to have their opinions.
And isn't it interesting too that back in the 90s it was the right that was pushing for a lot of the censorship stuff? That has completely flipped. It's coming from the other side now, I believe, and the right has become more. The right doesn't want kids exposed to things that are dangerous to them, but at the same time, a lot of the calls to deplatform and remove and strike down and prevent thoughts from even being uttered out loud, that's coming from the left. And what a change, what a switch that's been, even in my lifetime. So, folks, we'll keep an eye on it, but just know we have to talk about the politics of this when the politics are changing the entertainment that you want to watch. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but guess what? I think it's up to parents to make that decision for their kids, and it's up to the parents alone. I know, you want more. You want more of the Pro Channel, folks, but we've got to head out the door for this video. But fret not yet, for more content is yet on the way. 3 times a day, thrice as nice, right here on the Pro Channel. Oh, what's that you say? You want more than that? Fine, we'll do 4. 4 videos. Well, yeah, that's happening. Folks, as you get ready to go, consider clicking the like button for us. It is a huge help. Also, like, share, subscribe, and click it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. We would also love it if you could drop on down and give us a comment. We love hearing from you. And although we can't respond to every single comment, we often are reading them indeed. Folks, we would encourage you to consider subscribing to our partner channels, that Park Place, that Game Place, and that Pod Place. We love them all. We think you might too. Until the next time we have the joy of joining with you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.